please try to read the direct quotes and describe this manager or employee?
So I don't think my team members have any knowledge in this subject area. Therefore, I normally do not assign any important work to them. The reason is that we have to move quickly to finish multiple tasks, but due to members' low quality work, I thought it would be better not to assign important work to them as we don't have the available time.
This was actually real direct quote from the manager.
Yeah, I'm reading a lot of the chats are coming in. Thank you guys so much. And it's landed on fixed, Dr. Hahn.
Is there any deeper insight that you want to share about this manager's mindset? Like whether, we don't want to judge this manager to be fixed or growth, but is there any like a reality behind this? Do you feel like do you feel empathy or, reality toward this manager?
So I have some responses coming in, and I'm just going to read them out. So someone put fearful to fail, equates fixed. Someone also brought up short-sighted, so that's interesting and a good outlook. Clearly a fixed mindset. This is a minimum management. This person is more of a task manager than a team manager. And then someone put Sally, this is a common response. Also, we have someone that put many managers state there isn't time for development. I do have some empathy for when someone has to get a thing done and workers don't have the competence today, but this is a vicious cycle. We still have some coming in, managers who don't have time for development, don't have support coming from above. I believe the important word here is important. The manager would probably assign them new projects in this area if the impact was not important, but because it's important, he's afraid of failure and impact. So to me, that speaks back to when we describe the fixed mindset manager or the growth mindset manager, is that the growth mindset manager is okay with the employee making errors during the learning process and that they want to learn from that, those examples, and they don't have a fear of failure. But to someone's point, this manager has a fear of failure because it's going to have such a huge impact. Someone that stated a manager that looks at work to be done versus leading on learning how work can be done. So great example. Someone put that they have a lot of empathy. Maybe the manager is under a lot of pressure from above, and that does not allow the time needed to make their team more productive or upskill.
Because as I study more, I'm kind of shifting my ideas, like why there are more managers who have explicit this fixed mindset, and I'm not judging fixed mindset. Is it a bad thing? Somebody asked me in the conference, like, you kind of have a bias that growth mindset is good and fixed mindset is bad. Do you really believe that fixed mindset is bad? And it was really tough questions for me because we have that reality going on in this organization and lots of pressures, as you said, from above. Thank you, Lara. And manager also fear for failure and they want to do the best. And a lot of time, if organization push the effectiveness forward rather than learning, and there's no time, resource for developing employees, I want you to do the good job. Otherwise, you make a mistake, I will punish you. If that kind of culture really exists, which a lot of organizations may have, then it's really hard to keep having a growth mindset and make employees, take time and make sure that they develop their skill sets. So there's two different perspectives looking at this. And also some people say, oh, it's a finance. Like we are trying to work we have to earn money. This organization pursue profit. Profit-based organization, how can we just keep using our times trying to develop employees? And one manager was in a human resource development department, and he definitely said, like, I don't believe in training and development. I rather hire a good one. I will spend more time and invest more time in hiring good employee who already has a skill sets rather than paying attention to develop employees. And he was a manager in a human resource development, and that was pretty like impressive statement for me. So I really wanted to have your input as well on that. So a lot of good chat box here, which I really want to save it to my drive and reread it.
Someone put, I would want to explore further, is this a specific decision judgment or a pattern, for example, their core beliefs? Instead of a good, bad, or right or wrong, can we look at effective or ineffective, or learning enabled or hindered? Someone put, a manager job is about getting the work done through their team, which is good. I mean, it's a good point to make. We have managers and leaders always have two jobs to do. Get the job done well and develop their people as a way to expand organizational capacity and capabilities.
So how would you describe your organization? Is it more performance-driven organization or learning-driven organization in terms of culture?
So someone said performance-driven. Performance-driven, we have mixed. Performance-driven. Performance always trumps when things get tough. False dichotomy, performance-driven and learning enabled. Someone has performance working on moving more towards learning, and performance adds value. We have mixed but strong emphasis on learning and development recently. Used to be very performance-driven only, but we're getting better. L&D, can you explain how your organization has moved away from the performance-driven? Do you see some of the growth mindset being instilled into your team or in the organization?
So I believe it is partly because of the work of my team, and also the fact that we've been acquired by a larger company a few years ago, and this company who acquired us is very development driven, and our company before the acquisition was really about performance, and people would actually be blamed for going to a training and not being, working at that time and performing. So we're trying to move away from this mindset of performance only, no time for development. So because of the company who acquired us, and we're transitioning in becoming this company, and they have a strong emphasis on development. They have great tools, and they believe it is something very important. And my team is in charge of implementing all these different tools, all these different processes that are highly focused on learning and development. So we're slowly moving to this development mindset, and I believe we've done an amazing job in the past year. So it's a long work in shifting mindset, but I believe that it's an important work, and with time and a good team dedicated to it, and also support from our function heads, it works. And we see a big impact on performance too. So I believe that's also how we get buy-in from our leaders.
Thank you for sharing. We have someone that said performance heavy task oriented, not allowing time for planning for improvement or learning. So it says Singe's learning organization concept indicates that performance and learning are not opposites.
Victor also took the OPAL course, and probably that's where he's coming, he's referring to Sanjay's idea. Can you elaborate on this more, Victor?
When I originally read that work, it was several years ago in a management course in a undergrad. But when we talked about learning organizations, performance is short term. It's always short term. It's short term goals. It's projects that, I guess, for an individual, it would be a lifestyle or a way of doing business. It's kind of the difference between a business's mission statement and their value statement. It's how you do things rather than what you're accomplishing. It's not exactly two ends of a spectrum that you go in between, if that makes sense.
Yes, process versus outcome, or HRD also focuses on a lot of performance in the beginning, and they realize learning as another spectrum, but they're really integrated, not the opposite. So just like that, I think a learning organization concept also value all those performance versus learning, and they're integrated, not opposites, as in the spectrum, right?